Hey guys, Mr. Gardner here, coming with another video lesson. This time I'm going to be talking about order of operations. So if we look back and think about order of operations, we know please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS as it's been known. And that gives us basically the steps of what you do in order for order of operations. So if we see in PEMDAS, we've got P is parentheses, we've got E is going to be our exponents, this little guy. The next for M and D is multiply, divide. Remember, this step goes together. And we have add, subtract as the next order. And remember, those also, add and subtract, go together. Everything you do is from left to right. So just because multiply comes first in PEMDAS doesn't actually mean that you always multiply before you divide. It depends on which operation comes first, from the left side of the expression to the right side of the expression. So that is really important that we emphasize that little bit right there. Next thing I want to do is just review exponents with you guys. If you remember exponents are repeated multiplication. Exponents are set up where there's a base and there's an exponent. So the base is the bigger number and the exponent is the little number that goes up next to it. And what it's telling you is the base is telling you the number you are going to be multiplying, and the exponent tells you how many times you're going to multiply that number. So you can see from this example here, 2 to the 4th is going to be 2 multiplied 4 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And if we were to do that math, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 again is 16. Then you can see that our evaluated or standard form gives us 16. So the three forms, you've got exponent form or exponential form, expanded form, this shows the exponent expanded out, and then you have standard form, which is just the exponent evaluated, giving its actual numerical value. So now we're going to just take a look at some examples to solidify some of this understanding. So here I've done 2 plus 4 times 3 squared. So if we look at this example that we have here, the first thing we want to do is we want to decide what steps we're going to do first. So we take a look. We see there's no parentheses. I don't have any P, so I don't have to worry about that. The next thing I want to look for is exponents. Well, I see that there is an exponent here. So I'm going ahead and highlight that. We can see we do have an exponent. So that tells us that that is going to be our first step in the problem. Now, after we look for that, maybe we should check for the next, multiply, divide. I don't have any division, but I do have multiplication. So that means I am going to do that step next. So that means this operation here should be the next thing that I do after I evaluate this exponent. And then I look next, no division, so I move on to my next step, which is add and subtract. So then I'm going to choose to do this part last. That's going to be my last step. So if we're looking at it in order here, we can write ourselves a little cheat sheet for that, and we can see we have step 1, step 2, and step 3. Let's change the color here. So let's evaluate step 1. Let's look at this exponent. It's the first thing we're supposed to do. So if we do that, we have 3 squared, expanded form. That's going to be 3 times 3, which we all know equals 9. So I'm going to evaluate that down to 9. I still have this times 4 here, and I'm still need to add 2 at the end. So now if I look at my steps that I have here, I still have this multiplication that I need to do, and then I need to add, which is my green color. So now we're just going to go to the next step. So now we have 4 times 9. That's going to give us 36. And then we have our last step here, which is 2 plus 36. Again, just to keep continuity up and so we can see it, we will go ahead and just highlight this to emphasize the steps in what order we did them in. And so we can see addition is our last step. If we look over here, add, subtract, it comes at the end of PEMDAS. So we do know we're on the right track there at least, because if you had multiplication after this step, you would know for certain that you weren't doing it in the right order. So now we look at that, and we get a result of 38. And so that is going to be our correct result here. But if you think about this and you look at it in a different way, just to see, what if we had done it the other way first? What if we had gone 2 plus 4 first? Then we would get 6 times 3 squared. Then we have 6 times 9, right? Because we know 3 times 3 is 9. If we did 6 times 9, we would get 54 of our answer. And does 38 equal 54? It does not. So you can see that by not doing it in the correct order, that you can run into some problems when working on the problem here. You get a different value. And if you're in the course of a longer math problem, getting the wrong result just off of your first order of operations part is going to throw your whole problem off. So that is why it is critically important that we follow PEMDAS. We're making sure that, for organization's sake, that we are just labeling the operations first, then taking them step by step, rewriting as we go. It's easy to get caught up in trying to do it the fast way, trying to answer it as quickly as we can and just start pumping numbers in and getting a result. But it needs to be more important that our result is accurate and that we're doing it accurately. So we want to make sure accuracy is at the top of our list of things we want to accomplish. That's the end of this lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, or you can email me or catch me on our class page.